Well, I guess today we're just going to be talking about, I guess, things we've faced in our young lives as Christians. So I guess that's good things, bad things. So I guess I'll just start with a story. You know my mate Nate.
Yeah, I've seen him around.
Yeah, he's come to a few youth things. Yeah, so he's actually like a really good friend from hockey, and we've actually travelled quite a bit together, interstate, and we've played on the same teams. We even play on the same local team and stuff. And last year, at the very start of last year, so I think it was February. In February last year, so just over a year ago now. We were in Melbourne for the finals weekend, but it's like a whole week. It's from like Monday to Sunday. So we're there for finals, and on the first night we get there, we didn't have any games on because it started the next morning. And so a bunch of guys went out to the pub and like got some drinks and like played on the pokies for a bit. And myself and then all the other young players stayed in the hotels because, well, the young guys were too young. And like me, because I'm Christian, and so I was like, nah, I don't really want to be around that sort of scene. And so I was talking to Nate, and we're just kind of talking. We got along really well, which was cool because I mean, he was like a rookie at the time, and so I mean, it's not like I think I'm better than you, but it's like I hung out with the older boys and he hung out with like the rest of the rookies, and so we never really connected heaps until like that night, and we were just kind of talking about life, and some people brought PlayStations, and so we were just like playing PlayStation and whatnot. And so we're just chilling in the hotel room, and he asked why I didn't go with them, and I just said, oh dude, it's just because I'm Christian and I don't drink and I don't gamble. That's just how I live. And he was pleasantly surprised. He's not Christian himself, but his family doesn't drink. And so he thought that was really cool that I didn't drink. Yeah. And so I guess that was a kind of a way for us to connect, was just by a similar lifestyle, I guess. And so maybe it was because, he was trying to be respectful. Maybe like because like I was an older person, he was like an older player, a veteran, as you could say. And he was a rookie, but yeah, I guess I don't know. But yeah, like over that whole week, we were in the same room together. So we just like kept hanging out, kept talking to one another. And like, yeah, we became pretty good buddies by the end of that trip. And we were on the same local team as well. So just like local club team and such. And I remember when we got back from finals, that was like that was actually the last time I ever played on a Saturday, which I mean, it's kind of sad thinking like, oh, it was a year ago. Like I wish it was longer, but like that was the last time where I was like, I'm never going to play on this. I'm never going to play competitively on the Sabbath again. And so, yeah, but when I got back, I started praying for him because I don't know, I've just felt this big conviction, just like God being like, let me work on his heart. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pray for him. And I'm going to let God do his thing. And then the next time I saw him, which was 2 weeks later, he, like, as soon as I walk into the change room, he's like, Ted, I want to talk to you. And I was like, oh, about what? And he goes, it's about God. And like, he's Canadian, so he has that really annoying accent. But yeah, and he's like, I want to talk to you about church. And I was really blown away by that, actually. Because like it was like God's work was instant. Like that was just so sweet. But anyways, we lost the game, which wasn't surprising because we weren't a very good local team. So I got out of my gear and we had our chat, and he just like when we were talking, the first question he asked was like, what makes you think that there's a God? And I guess going back from the last podcast we did, I kind of said to him, I was like, dude, there are so many things that have happened in my life that can't be explained by coincidence or science. And he was like, oh, okay, like that's fair enough. And he was talking to me, and he was just like I'm an atheist. but I believe everything happens for a reason. And that kind of confused me because I was like, well, if you're atheist, then that doesn't make sense, but I'll just go with it for now.
Yeah.
And I remember when like as soon as he started talking to me, I was actually really worried because I didn't want to stuff it up. So I remember I prayed like silently in my head, and I was like, God, take control of my mouth because I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah, for sure.
And so yeah, I just like we spoke about life and just like the whole thing about coincidence and like how I don't see that as a coincidence. And as we were kind of finishing up and leaving, I gave him one more example, and I was like, bro, think about this. Like 2 weeks ago when we got back from finals, I started praying for you. I haven't seen you since then. And the first time you see me, you say like, you want to have a chat about God. Like that's not a coincidence. And he was like, wow, like you make a good point. And I mean, it's definitely a journey. Like I try and invite him out to as many social things as we can, but he's really busy with hockey and stuff like that. So I'm still working on it, but they're definitely like cogs ticking in his head, which is just so awesome. And I'm hoping that one day, he will finally admit that there's a God.
That's really cool that you actually prayed, and then it kind of, I guess, for lack of better words, it calls him out in a way. Like not cornered him or anything, but like, God is real. Like it's like a fact. Like, yeah, I prayed for you for 2 weeks, and then it's like the first thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And that really threw me off. But at the same time, I was just super excited. I was like,
it's awesome.
I think, well, I even do this myself. I think people often underestimate the power of prayer, which is actually a cliche saying now that I think about it. But like everyone says that. People underestimate the power of prayer, but it's so true. Like,
oh, even I do.
Exactly.
Like
it's amazing how quickly and how instant God works. Like, I'm sure God was already working on him before I even started praying for him.
Yeah.
But sure. It was just so nice to see God working in someone's life that I guess didn't really consider the possibility of God before.
Yeah. That's really cool. I think it's an awesome story. Firstly, how long have you been friends for?
I've known about him for a long time. Just because the hockey kind of social circle isn't huge in Adelaide.
Yeah.
But he was always in like the leagues below me. Just like the age groups below me until like he was finally in seniors, and then we just started like we were on the same team for local, and then he joined the team like the under 21 national league team. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think the closest thing that I have to that would be, I think I've talked to you a little bit about this before. A girl at gym. More recently started asking a lot of questions. Quite like, it's awesome that she is, and it's really almost refreshing. It's like I haven't had someone constantly questioning a lot of things that I believe in before. It's a good way for me to actually remember like all the things like why I keep the faith, as well as like, I guess, evangelizing in a way, even though she might not necessarily care that much in terms of like for her own life. She wants to know a bit more about mine, I guess, is I think where she's at. But it's still, it's answering her questions, like getting to know more about us in general. Like, because it's, like we said before, it's a lot of misconceptions. And I think we can do a good job by clearing up even in our own friendship circles like that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's awesome.
No, that's really cool. And it's always interesting how I definitely in today's culture, it's very refreshing to have a conversation like that with someone, because it's often, or in my experience, it's often someone just like bashing Christianity.
For sure.
And like there's definitely been instances in my life where, I mean, I may not do a certain thing. Like I might not, like I won't drink, and people go, "Oh, why?" And then I go, "Oh, it's because I'm Christian." And then they go, "Oh, Christian growth," like, and then they just bash you for it.
Yeah.
Which is very ironic, considering, like, I think the more progressive society are so in favor of equality between, like, in the LGBTIQ community and, like, same-sex marriage. Like, they're so for that, but at the same time, they're not for religious freedom. And in fact, they're just completely against it.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying.
Not everyone, but yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, not everyone.
Yeah, no.
But I have come across multiple situations in my life where that has been the case.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I mean, at my uni last year, well, at our uni last year, there was the Christian week. I can't remember the official name for it, but it was just a week where...
Is it Jesus Week? I feel like Jesus Week rings a bell.
It might have been that. I don't quite remember. But, like, people were just, you know, sharing Jesus. And they weren't doing anything to, like they weren't, like, going out and verbally Bible bashing anyone. They weren't. They were being just genuinely nice people.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it didn't directly affect me, but indirectly a lot of people were quite hurtful, because on, like, Facebook groups you'd see, like, why do we have to have a Jesus week, or, like, is this how long I have to stay away from uni? And it's just like, it is quite hurtful, because people just aren't willing, like, a lot of people just aren't willing to listen or even just accept kindness.
Yeah.
Which is what that whole week was about just showing kindness.
Exactly. Like, I didn't see one person Bible bashing, and, like, for obvious reasons. It's probably, like, for lack of better words, obvious reasons, because I think that might drive people away from uni even more, and, like, they'll make the memes on the Facebook groups and all that stuff. But I think what they were doing was awesome. Like, the way that their method was actually awesome.
Yeah.
And it sucks that people weren't giving the time of day for a week.
Yeah, for a week.
Just 5 days of people in the hub just going, "Hey, how you going? Like, have you heard of us?" That's all they were doing.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sad, because I didn't even know like, this kind of group existed until I saw someone bashing it on the Facebook group. And I wish I had an opportunity to get involved, but I guess that's something I just have to look at for this year.
Yeah.
I
actually sorry.
No, you go.
I think it was my first week at uni, the first year. One of my friends from high school actually took me to one of their meetings. So that they actually run, like, regular meetings in this, I think it's called Oasis. Their little, I think it's their, like, dedicated spiritual building for
nice.
Like, all religions, and
they
had a bit of a sermon and stuff. So that was really cool. And then we went outside and prayed on the grass, and it was actually really nice. So they actually do a good job over there, I think. Yeah. I should have gone to more. 3 years went by so super quick, and my degree's over. So
there's no need. Yeah, I have the chance, not so much you. So I guess, like, with uni, with the example of uni, has there been any other, I guess, tough situations that you've had to face because of, I don't know, I guess maybe other people, maybe other people weren't so accepting, or trying to, I guess, pull you away from God? Yeah.
I think when you were mentioning the whole alcohol thing, when you were with your hockey mates, I've experienced that, I think, the most out of anything else in terms of, like, I guess, pushback. Whether I'm out just at dinner or at someone's party or that sort of thing. I think that's where the most, it's like more so people asking questions, which is fine. It's great that they ask questions. But then there's some of the friends who are like, "No, you can have one drink, it's fine."
Yeah. You won't get drunk off one drink. Yeah. I totally feel that.
And then they try bring the Bible into it as well, and it's like, you know, Jesus drank wine, or Jesus made the wine from water, all that stuff. It's like, do you want to have this conversation? I'm happy to have this conversation. Let's sit down and talk about half an hour.
I brought my Bible. It's in the car. I'll go grab it.
Yeah. So they're trying to, like, make me do the things that, you know, against my values. That's probably That's probably the biggest thing over the years, in terms of it's like I said, it's not all bad. People are just genuinely asking questions that are interested, but other times it gets a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess one example of mine is like one thing that people don't realize is the hockey culture is like pretty intense. Like it's girls, tobacco chew, and alcohol. That's like pretty much all it is. And then like there is actually, you know, drugs there occasionally, which is really not fun. But like I had the privilege of playing for the under 18s Australian team, and that was kind of the first experience in my life where I've been bashed, not physically bashed, but just like made fun of for being Christian. Mostly because I mean, my social circles, like while I was at hockey, I wasn't super involved with the social life there, but that was because, I mean, I guess I wasn't cool, maybe. I don't know. But, so a lot of my social circles were here at church or, you know, at school, during high school and stuff like that. And so when I went there, the first night we were in the Czech Republic somewhere. I can't remember exactly, but we're there for training camp. The first night they were handing out like some pork dish, and me and the assistant coach, neither of us ate pork. He didn't eat pork because he was Muslim. Yeah. And then I didn't eat pork because I was Christian. And people were like, "Oh, why aren't you eating pork?" And I was like, "Oh, just because I'm a Christian and like I've learned not to eat pork." And then like, "Oh, really?" And then like people from the other table turned around and they'll be like, "Are you Christian?" And then like I was like, "Oh, yes." And like this was the first night and just everyone was interested. It made me feel so awkward, to be honest. Yeah. But then like that just like set me up for like ridicule the whole trip. And it was like, quite frankly, I kind of like wish I didn't go because of that. But then again, I mean, it was a really awesome experience, and I can't like, there was a lot of good parts about it. So I guess I can't be too harsh on it. Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely, like I was constantly made fun of for not drinking, and like even believing in the Bible. Like they're like, as if you actually believe the Bible exists, or like, do you believe that the Bible is historically factual? Yeah. And then there was always the question of like sex before marriage. Like that was like top of the list. Like, so have you never had sex before? No. Man, you're missing out. that was like all it was. And like, even like a bit later on, like after I got back from that trip, I started training and playing for the National League team, so the Adelaide Adrenaline. And those dudes, like the head honchos, I guess you could describe them as, like they're pretty full on guys, and they're quite intimidating. And so when I was just me, like a small 16-year-old, like if they tell you to do something, you do it. And I didn't hang out with them like outside of the rink, but like they were just very daunting people, and that's why I purposely didn't hang out with them outside of hockey. Yeah, sure. Yeah, makes sense. But then I remember in year 11, I trained and I played a couple games with them, took a break in year 12, and then I came back in my gap year. And so I was like traveling every second week. I was training like 3 times a week, and like there was games every weekend. And so I was very involved with that culture. Like I didn't become a part of the culture, but I was just there. Like I was there. I honestly tried just like sticking to the wall, staying under the radar. Yeah. And it was really hard, honestly. Like, yeah, I can imagine. Like they knew I was Christian from like a couple years ago, but they were like, oh, like we go out to dinner after a game, and they'd just say, hey, you want a beer? And I'm like, no, I'm good. But then they'd hassle you, yeah. And just constantly. Yeah. And like, it was very hard to just be like, no, like I don't want to drink. And finally they would say it. They would let it go. I mean, they'd let it go, which was nice. But I mean, like it wasn't just like alcohol. It was like other substances, and it was, I guess, not very. I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. I guess like sexually explicit things.
Yeah.
And like that was the worst, but like that was just something that I had to put up with. And quite frankly, when that sort of stuff happened, I was like, I'm out. Like when I knew the season was finished, I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing with that anymore because it was so gross.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like I think what made it just as hard as my spiritual life, or that made it harder for me then, was my spiritual life was really weak as well.
Yeah.
When I played for the under-18s Australian team, like they'd ask me questions, but I didn't know how to answer them. And then they think like, oh, like checkmate Christians, like because I didn't know how to answer it, but it was because I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And that was the same with like the Adelaide Adrenaline, or like, I didn't really know how to answer why I didn't want to do those things. I just knew I shouldn't.
Mm.
And I guess now that I've definitely like stepped away from that lifestyle and focused more on, Jesus, I'm like, oh, this is why I don't want to drink, and this is why I don't want to do those things, because awesome. It's not a Jesus-led life.
Yeah, for sure.
But having these things happen to me as well, I say happen to me as if it's like I'm scarred from it. I'm not scarred from it by any means, but I guess going through those experiences in life, it has made me afraid to tell people that I'm Christian, to be honest.
Okay.
Like only just recently I've started telling friends from uni that I'm Christian. Yeah. And they're like, oh, what are you doing Saturday? Oh, I'm going to church. Like I've been at uni with them for 2 years previously, and they're just like, you go to church? Like they're, I don't know. I feel bad that I haven't told them sooner. Yeah. And I'm a little embarrassed that I hadn't told them sooner, but I'm glad that I'm finally in a place in my spiritual life where I can back myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe. Do you still play hockey?
Only local. Like I don't take it seriously because, just because it's on the Sabbath. But I also, like during finals weekend, during finals, like in the local leagues, it's like usually best of 3 series, and they have like 2 or 3 series going on at a time. So then there would be games that would fall on the Sabbath, and I've just been like, I can't play them, even though it's finals, but I just can't.
How does your team react to that? Or your coach, or?
My coach is pretty fine with it.
Okay.
But I guess the rest of the team, I think it's just tongue in cheek. Like, oh, like, are you serious? Like, but they're just like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, exactly. That's just how they feel. And they accept it, which is a very nice change of pace. Yeah. So you sort of changed league? I don't know how it works exactly. Like, okay. No, sorry. So that was just local hockey. But I guess the other cultures were just like in different leagues. I guess in like a higher up league than what I'm playing in now.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like all those guys, that I guess were really daunting. Like one of them got married and had a kid, and then 2 of them like had more kids, and so they've just like completely like left. Like all the big guys that had a lot of influence on the team, had a lot of influence of the culture. They've kind of moved on. Okay. And I have heard that the culture's changed a lot, and so some people have contacted me saying like, hey, like we want you back. But I've just been like, I'm sorry, like I can't, just because of Saturdays. Yeah. I have mentioned to them like, if you really want, I can fly in on a Saturday night and play the Sunday games, or I can play the Sunday home game, like games here at home. But then they've just said like, no, we need you to play all of them. So I'm like, I can't do it. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah.
That's cool though. They reach out to you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe some of your uni friends, respect you maybe a bit more for like not bashing them in a sense, maybe? Or were they more sort of like, oh, why didn't you tell us?
I think I don't know if they respect me more, but I think they just realize that it makes a lot of like it clicks in their head. They're just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
and it kind of just stops. Like I don't pressure them. I don't like be like, let me tell you about Jesus. I think it's they just accept it, and I'm hoping that the way that I portray myself and the way that I act is evangelism. And then I'm kind of waiting on God to open doors for me to like reach out to them if needed more.
Yeah.
Like I don't like God has to do it. Like I can't do it because I know that if I do it, I'll fail miserably. So I just need to let God do it.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And that'll probably flow if God intends. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So what about you? Like, I guess, like, have you had any issues, like, I guess with friendships? Has being a Christian affected your friendships at all?
I don't have like a consistent sort of, I guess, I don't know, narrative like yours with hockey, how it's gone over the years and that sort of thing. I think it's been very different with different friendships over time. So obviously I've got friends in the church and then friends who are different religion, friends who are atheist. I think the ones that were full, like, I guess, practicing, active atheists that go out of their way to tell people that you're wrong. I think those are the friendships that didn't last very long, naturally. And I think other than alcohol, I think Sabbath was the next biggest thing.
Yeah.
Similar to you as well with I feel pretty blessed that it wasn't like, I didn't really lose friendships over it.
Definitely.
I think majority were pretty respectful and they understand, and some of them, still call themselves Christian, but they don't actively go to church.
Yeah.
So they still understand the whole Sabbath thing, and they're like, okay, yeah. And over the years, they've accepted it more, which is really cool. And I think that sex before marriage has come up a lot as well, like high school.
It's always a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's pretty crazy.
And then some people are like, oh, like, good on you, I respect that, even though they're like, completely not Christian at all. And it's like, I guess from their perspective, it's like, okay, you're saving it for like the right person.
Yeah.
Where for us, it's more than that. And like, it's good to save for the right person. But yeah, it's more for, it's for us as well, protecting us in so many ways.
Yeah. And like just going on, don't want to derail the conversation too much, but going on that, like, I think it's just so important, like, having, I guess, sleeping with your wife, I think is so important because you're emotionally vulnerable with that person. Sure. And I guess why a lot of sadness occurs in teenage relationships is because, one person gives up something that means a lot to them, and then they just like, I guess they go their separate ways, but they like one person gave so much to that other person.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
They gave them something that was very intimate and vulnerable, and they still like, it's almost as if they go through mini divorces. I guess that's a very loose way to look at it, but
emotionally, like,
like you I guess, like, no, you hit the nail on the head there.
No, you I was gonna say the same thing. Like you articulated that as well quite well.
Yeah.
It's for our emotions and for the other person's emotions. And
But yeah. Going back onto the main topic of, I guess, issues that we face. Before I became, was there ever an example of like you being, or someone asking you a question but you didn't, about Christianity, or like asking why you didn't do something, like why you didn't drink? Was there ever a time where you were just like, oh, I just don't like it, or like was like, I guess not lied, but you didn't tell them that you were Christian?
The full story. I think because I've had so much of those questions in the past couple of years, I've almost forgotten, like, because I know for sure there was a time where I was like that.
Yeah.
There was a time where it was, but I can't think of specific examples. I think more recently, it's definitely been, I've had a solid reason for myself with pretty much everything. And I'm really glad that's actually happened. Like, I can actually have good conversations with people about every topic as to why I don't do it. And then I think from an earlier age before that sort of happened for me, it was more, yeah, like pretty much what you were saying. Like if I was offered alcohol, I'd be like, well, yeah, it's unhealthy for you. And that's still true for me now. Like, it's unhealthy for you. It costs a lot of money, that sort of thing. But now definitely it's like, that's what I believe in as well. We treat our body as a temple. So it's, as I've grown spiritually, the answer's just added on to that, to what I already believed to be true. But yeah, I can't think of specific examples. It's sort of, it's because it's ramped up, I think, so much the past couple of years with those sort of questions. It's kind of like, what did I say back then? I think it was just, what I thought was right. You know? Not what I truly believed. And I think that's changed for me now.
I remember one example. It's actually quite sad now that I think about it, because we were getting, it was me and my best mate from uni, my best mate from uni, and we were getting burritos. And I remember they were talking, like, we're just kind of talking about what we like, and then I just told him that I usually get the chicken because I enjoy it. And then he goes, "Have you tried the pork, man? It tastes so good." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't actually eat pork." And then he goes, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just kind of just grew up not eating it, so I don't like the taste of it." And that was just like the only reason why I get, like, I don't know, it was so dumb, and it was over a burrito. It's so dumb looking back on it, but
I think in those moments it's sort of just like, you need a quick answer. Sometimes it's not always the front of our minds, I guess. What we should be telling them, I guess.
Well,
unfortunately, sometimes.
From that, do you think that we should always be telling people that we're Christian?
Actually, I got an example before I answer that.
Okay, sorry, give me your example.
I was out with a couple of mates, and they were saying, "Oh, Paul, like, you have all these girls in your life, but you don't have a girlfriend." And I'm like, that's a fair call. But, you know, that has its own reasoning. Like, you know, we haven't had, you know, I haven't had romantic interest in a lot of them.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
It is the way it is. And they're like, "Oh, why don't you just find one so you can just have like fun with them, you know?"
Oh, yeah. Very interesting.
I'm like, And then in that moment, I was like, I'm just, you know, I see a relationship as something you want to. Actually, now that I think about it, I gave them a pretty Christian answer. I was like, yeah, it's someone I actually want to, like, marry down the track.
Yeah. It's not
down the track. It's not just having fun in the moment.
A temporary thing, yeah.
Wow, that was a bad example. I actually gave them the Christian example. Christian answer. Yeah, but that was pretty funny. Sorry, what was the question again?
I actually can't remember, hey. Should we be telling people that we're Christians?
Oh, all the time.
All the time. So, because you were saying sometimes you just need a quick answer, and I guess looking back on that conversation with my mate, I guess it was like a nothing, it was a nothing discussion. Like, there was no meaning behind the discussion. It was just general chit chat. So maybe, like, does it not matter that I didn't tell him that I was Christian, or does it still matter? Like, should I be telling people that I'm like? I guess at the time, like, this was like less than a year ago, but still, like, at the time, I guess my faith wasn't as sound as what it is now. And so I kind of still separated faith from regular life. Whereas really, when I look at my personal life now, it's faith and life are one. Whereas back
for sure.
Yeah. So they were two separate entities, but now they're just one.
Yeah. And that'll probably make it easier for
Yeah.
sure. Like, sharing with pretty much everybody. I think we should be more open to sharing it as much as we can. I think it's my perspective, because I think a lot of the times we might get worried about what they would think of us. I think that's the main reason. as to why we don't all the time. And I think we'd probably be pleasantly surprised, to be honest. I have been like surprised in that same, context. And yeah, probably not much more to add to that. I think we should all, like, as much as possible, unless we don't feel it in that moment, I think, for whatever reason. But I think just the general sort of, maybe I shouldn't, maybe we should just try our hardest to not do that as much.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Yeah. I was gonna say it depends on the context, but I don't think most of the time it doesn't. Like, I think, most of the time, I think people will be okay with it. They'll still be accepting.
Yeah.
If that's what we're scared of.
Yeah.
I don't know, from your perspective, if that's what we're worried about, what do you think? Or maybe it's just too quick. Some of those scenarios actually happen pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's like maybe that's just my reflex and I should train I should intentionally not go straight for my reflex.
Yeah.
Of saying, health reasons, like just cutting the conversation short, just be like, hey, it's just because I'm Christian.
Yeah.
Like that, like you don't have to go into a full discussion about it, but
yeah.
I guess that's a reason enough. Like that's reason enough to tell them why you don't do certain things.
Yeah. I think adding to that, I've done it once or twice because I don't want to have a long discussion, I think. Which is pretty bad. But sometimes you can tell, like, if they will ask more, and then it's like, sometimes like before in the car, like you might not have time to have a deep conversation. Yeah. I think in those times we'll probably be like, I'll talk to you about it a bit more, like later on. I'll answer it properly later.
Yeah.
Next time I see you or something. I don't know.
Not too long ago, I was with a mate of mine and then their mate, and I was still friends with them, but like my connection was through this one person, and I guess so it was me, my friend who is also Christian, and then their friend who is still my friend, but like mostly their friend, was not Christian, and he grew up Baptist, but then he decided that, well, he believes that God doesn't exist, and quite often that discussion would come up, like, why do you think God exists? And I'm going to be honest with you, they were very painful conversations to listen to. Yeah. Because I wasn't really involved with them because I wasn't as close friends with this guy.
Yeah.
But it was like I just listened to him. And to be honest, like his reasoning was quite flawed. Excuse me. And so, like, it just didn't make sense what a lot of the things that he was saying. And he just tried to incite an argument. Really, like that's the only reason why he'd bring it up would be to incite an argument.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's why it was just super painful. And there was one time where my mate, like the main friend number one, wasn't there. So it was just us two, and we're kind of chatting. And then just like the topic of, what was it? It was something just really annoying. It was like, does God, why does God let bad things happen to people?
Yeah, the classic.
And that is a classic discussion point.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I thought like, hey, I reckon I can handle this topic. Like I felt strong. Yeah. And I think that was my downfall, to be honest, because I was like, I'm doing this on my own.
Yeah.
I didn't rely on God.
Yeah.
Looking back on it. But I just told him, I was just like I gave him my reasons. And then he says, and I just said like God has something far better planned for this person. So like we shouldn't worry about, the life now, but then think about the eternal. And then he's like, well, that's dumb. What about kids in Africa that just die of starvation? Or what about like babies and toddlers that are abused, like physically abused? And then like there's like the whole idea of choice, like God still gives choice, but then he's like, no, that's just dumb. And I was like, well, I mean, why ask me the question? I even said that to him. I was like, why ask me the question if you're just going to shut me down straight away?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was probably like, one of the like, I stood up to I stood up for what I believed in because I actually had the strength and knowledge of like what it means to be a Christian.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I don't think that's, I guess, the downfall. I think that just happens with people when we have those discussions. They don't want to accept it quite often for whatever reasons.
That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just how it be sometimes.
For sure. For sure. Frustrating as it is. What can we do in those moments? I guess not much, hey. Just
honestly,
when we're in there, it's like, well, just gotta let it go.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, just gotta may sound like a bit of a palm off solution, but just like, I don't know, pray for that person.
For sure.
Like pray that God, I don't know, works on their heart. But I don't know, those people, like that's long journey stuff, and I'm sure those conversations have come up many, many times with other people, and hopefully one day someone gets through to him. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I reckon we'll wrap this up.
I think so.
Yeah.
So you can get in touch with us a few ways. We have our Instagram, MVC Youth. I believe our Facebook is the same, MVC Youth. And our email is contactmvcyouth@gmail.com. Otherwise, you could probably just leave a comment on this video if you have something quick to say or a question or things like that. Maybe we can even get to questions one day. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
See you next time.
You can't say, I'm a gang. Oh, who's in your gang? Oh, just me. Like, no, you're not a gang, okay? It's, because gangs and churches, they have a lot in common, believe it or not. You can't say, I'm a church. No, you're not. You're by yourself. You got to do church